My name is John Crichton.
My name is John Crichton. My name is John Crichton. Look upward and share the wonders I've seen.
Cross my heart, smack me dead, stick a lobster on my head.
Hello, and welcome to the premiere episode of the ScapeCast, your guide to the wonders of Farscape. I'm your co-host, Kevan Batchelder.
And I'm Lindy Ray. On this episode of ScapeCast, we'll listen to many scapers talk about how they found the show and why they love it.
We'll hear some news about some upcoming conventions, and learn about what some of the actors from Farscape are doing nowadays.
We'll listen to a great story introducing the show and characters.
And also some other scapery stuff. Scapery, is that a word, Lindy?
Well, it actually is a word, and it means things about Farscape, because a scaper is a Farscape fan. So scapery means something about Farscape fans. We'll have to define it better, maybe in a future podcast. One thing that we want to talk about is how we're going to address spoilers. It's really hard to know whether spoilers exist in Farscape since it's already been through from beginning to end and miniseries. Personally, as a spoiler maven, I like to know everything in advance anyway. But not everyone does, and we do have some newbies who have just started watching the show, either in syndication or they found the DVDs. So sometimes we're going to discuss things that happen in the story, and sometimes we might move with what I call Kevan speed. So Kevan, what is your speed?
Well, Kevin's the newbie here, especially compared to Lindy. I'm still only in Season 2 watching it, so I'm definitely a newbie.
And we're going to respect that sometimes, and we might make Kevan plug his ears and sing. Can you give us a little of that now, Kevan?
La la la.
Very nice, very nice. And sometimes you might want to do that too. But we are going to talk about some major things that have happened in the story of Farscape. And we might even go in depth on some of the episodes that are pivotal in the story. But we're not going to do it today in this, our first podcast.
Yeah, this first show is definitely going to be newbie friendly. We're going to introduce you to the crew and the folks that work on the ScapeCast as well as the Farscape show. But this first show is very much an introduction as well as a get to know the crew.
And we're going to talk about different things in future episodes, such as interviews and campaigns that different fan groups are having, and again talk about episodes in detail. It's very important to hear what our listeners have to say and what you would like to hear as listeners in the ScapeCast, what things you would like to discuss. And that's where our forum comes in at scapecast.org. You can give us suggestions and feedback on things that you've heard and things that you might like to hear.
We also don't know yet exactly what our release schedule for shows is going to be. We're thinking about potentially coming out with a new show every 2 weeks or maybe twice a month. That's definitely evolving. We're going to see how that goes as far as workload and the feedback we get. So we're very much a work in progress here, and your feedback and our commitments are going to drive a lot of where that goes.
So Kevan, so far, what do you think your favorite episode is?
Well, I must say that the episode, The Way We Weren't, definitely made a strong impact on me. I mean, there have been a lot of great ones so far, and from what I'm certainly getting teasers on, there's a heck of a lot more to come, but that one definitely, kept me riveted to the chair when I was watching that one.
Kevan, one of the wackiest episodes is one that happens near the end of Season 3, I believe it is, and it's called Revenging Angel. And I'm really not going to tell you what the episode is about, but what I am going to tell you is it's done in the style of a Warner Brothers cartoon. And how can you go wrong with that?
Just another reason to go faster and faster through the episode so I can get to all these good ones everyone's teasing me with.
Well, don't go too fast because I think you have to cogitate for a while after you watch a few episodes and think about what you've seen. If you watch them too fast, then you're going to miss something, and I don't think you'll enjoy them quite as much.
Yeah, that's definitely the balance I'm finding is that desire to just rush through them because they're so good and I want to find out, but also watching and seeing some nice subtle things and reading some of the discussions in the forums. I realized I have missed some of those points, so it's tough.
The forums are great for finding things. I found that after watching Farscape for a couple years, I really needed to talk about stuff. And finding a forum, and I'm pretty active on what's called Frel Me Dead, and finding that forum just really opened up my whole world in Farscape and what the things that I missed. And the communities, what I found, all of the fan communities in the Farscape world are very nice and friendly and willing to listen to everybody's opinion. And I think that also really helps strengthen your ties as a fan to Farscape.
Yeah, and you touch on one of the important things we should bring out right now, Lindy, is that there are many ways you folks that are listening might have got a copy of this show. It could have been from a friend who shared it with you, and maybe you downloaded it from iTunes. And we want to make sure that we let everybody know that our homepage can be found at ScapeCast.org. And if you go there, there's some great resources, including links to many other great Farscape sites. So certainly, after you listen to this show, feel free to go right there and take a look at what we've got available for you. Links to other forums where you can discuss Farscape, information about our show, and more details. So this is just the beginning in terms of getting you folks immersed in the Scaper community, especially for the newer folks.
And it will be our policy that if we mention any websites for fan conventions or fan campaigns or anything, we will put them up in the show notes at ScapeCast.org. It will be an easy place for you to go and find the details of anything that we've talked about during the ScapeCast.
So I don't know about you, Lindy, but I'm just excited to get right into the meat of everything we've got here for everybody. We're really looking forward to being along on this journey with you folks and going through the discovery for me of going through Farscape for the first time and also learning from a lot of the experienced scapers like yourself.
Well, I'm looking forward to it too. I'm very excited. And what I can say right now is we really need to get on with the ScapeCast.
DK, you know that feeling you get the night before something big's about to happen in your life? It's the night before we graduated high school. It's the night before we started this job. I had that feeling last night in quarantine.
This experiment that important to you?
Thank you, we have that.
And now it's time for your Farscape trivia question. This being our first episode, I'm going to make this an easy question. For what episode of Farscape did Ben Browder grow a beard? Stay tuned for the answer to the question at the end of the show. For the ScapeCast, I'm Brent Barrett.
I'm Wendy Hembrock, and here's the news. In a surprise announcement on an internet chat session on the Sci-Fi Channel website, David Kemper and Ricky Manning leaked that the Sci-Fi Channel has canceled Farscape.
Wendy? That was 4 years ago.
What? What do you mean it was 4 years ago? Well, it's historical news. It's important.
Okay, why don't you try another story?
CNN has reported that due to overwhelming fan response, a miniseries will be made of Farscape tentatively titled The Peacekeeper Wars.
Excuse me there, Wendy. That story was,
Yes, I know it was 2 years ago. Okay, fine, but if you never heard it before, it is news, technically.
Okay, I'll give you that. Why don't we try sticking to current news?
Okay, something newsier. Ben Browder and Claudia Black were nominated for Saturn Awards for their work on the TV show called Fargate. No, what? That's not the name. It's called Stargate Sg-1. I think this is the fake news?
No.
It's really a show?
Yes.
Right. And I suppose Ben plays a pilot who goes through a wormhole and wears black t-shirts. And Claudia plays an alien who wears leather.
Exactly.
Really?
Yes.
I better check that show out. Crew members Terry Ryan, Dave, and Lou Elsey were also nominated for Saturn Awards. The Saturn Awards are voted on by fans, so check the link in our show notes to get registered at the website and start stuffing that ballot box to support our crew. The Space Channel has also nominated Ben and Claudia for the Spacey Awards, which will broadcast on May 27th on the Space Channel. Anyone out there like to play dress-up? And who doesn't occasionally? Creation Entertainment has been auctioning many Farscape costumes and prop pieces on eBay. Items in past auctions include Crichton's leather trousers and Aaron's long black and green leather coat. The most recent auction included the princess costume for Aaron from the episode Don Quixote, as well as Channa and Jules' costumes, and the crash test dummy jumpsuits worn by Crichton and Harvey from the Peacekeeper Wars. ADV Films released Starburst 3.3 DVD on April 11th, and you can now pre-order Starburst Edition 4.1 at Amazon. The new cover art includes a group shot with John, Aaron, Chiana, and Sukozu. The official release date for Starburst 4.1 DVD is June 13th. In case you missed it, our own Scorpius, Wayne Pygram, appeared on a recent episode of Lost. The Lost Season 2 episode titled SOS featured Wayne as the character named Isaac of Uluru, who was supposed to be a healer. The episode first aired in the U.S. on April 12th, and as many of you are aware, Lost does rerun its episodes, so you might be able to check it out again. Virginia Hay has announced a return to acting. At the recent Creation Sci-Fi Summit convention, Virginia confirmed that she will return to acting after a 3-year hiatus. You can read more details about Virginia on her blog site, and you can find the link to her blog site from the show notes. Rockne O'Bannon's The Triangle miniseries was released on DVD on March 28th. The Triangle originally aired on the Sci-Fi Channel and starred Sam Neill, Lou Diamond Phillips, Eric Stoltz, and Catherine Bell. I thought it was better than the typical Sci-Fi original presentation stuff they run on Saturday nights. Claudia Black will be featured as the guest blogger on the Southeast Scaper board. I wonder if her accent comes across in the blogosphere. There's a link to the blog site in our show notes. So what's up with the rest of the cast and the crew? Follow the links in our show notes and find out where are they now since Farscape. You have to read the notes. I'm not telling. And now for the convention report. There'll be 2 guest appearances in May. Gigi Edgley appears at FedCon in Fulda, Germany, May 19th through the 21st. And David Franklin will appear at MarCon 41 on May 26th to 28th in Columbus, Ohio. Maybe you can wear some of that gear that you got off of the eBay auction if you happen to snag any cool costumes. Did you know Lonnie Tupu, who played Captain Crace, is also a painter? He does rather abstract landscapes that are really interesting and quite affordable as paintings or prints. Check our show notes for the link to the online gallery. There's also a fun new interview with Lonnie Tupu on the German Stargate Project's Farscape section. In the interview, Lonnie talks about everything from Farscape to the music he enjoys, so check it out. Win lunch with Ben Browder. A charity auction for the Waterkeeper Alliance includes a prize to have lunch with Ben Browder. You can eat lunch with Ben on the Vancouver set of the series Sg-1 and take home a paddle signed by the Sg-1 cast. I'm not sure what one does with such a paddle, but that's your business. Hopefully there's no Kiva or Dentix on the lunch menu, but maybe plenty of crackers. And if you mention you're a scaper, you might run into Claudia too.
Do you give the fans everything they've been asking for and everything they've wanted, and will they be satisfied?
You can hear Ben and Claudia talk about Stargate Sg-1 in clips they've been airing on the Sci-Fi channel on Stargate Mondays. In those clips, you can hear Ben and Claudia comment on the directors, shippiness, as well as favorite location shoots. The website Television Without Pity, which does rather snark-filled recaps of popular TV shows, runs a charity auction to benefit kids, and the winners of the auction get one of their shows recapped. The group Farscape for Kids has previously won 3 of these auctions and gotten recaps for The Premiere, A Human Reaction, and Crackers Don't Matter. Follow the link in our show notes to read some of those recaps as they're very entertaining, and maybe help out with a donation for the next auction, which ends on April 26th. Farscape Online has created an all-inclusive Farscape music video archive, so check out your new source for all the boogie-woogie. And that's your news for this week. I'm Wendy Hembrock for the ScapeCast.
I'm Kurt Armbruster from Calgary, Canada, and you are listening to ScapeCast.
Hello, Scapers. You've met Kevan and Lindy, our hosts, but you may be asking, who are these people? Well, we asked them to give you all a little background, a testimonial, if you will, on how and when they became Scapers. So here they are again, your hosts, Kevan Batchelder and Lindy Ray.
Well, as far as my testimonial, or kind of the Kevan story, if you will, for everyone's benefit, I'm new to the show, just within the last couple of months, actually. Currently, I'm probably somewhere towards the end of season number 2, maybe, give or take a handful of episodes. I was one of those folks who missed it, the show when it first aired on TV. I'm one of those folks who likes to watch a TV show in their exact proper order, so once I realized I'd missed the early parts, I just decided, okay, that's going to have to be something I wait for probably on tape or DVD at that point several years back. But the long story short was that I had a Netflix subscription, so I now had an easy way to try to catch up on some good sci-fi shows that I might have missed out on during their first time around.
And don't you just love Netflix?
Yeah, that's about the only way, for this father of 2 daughters to be able to afford some of these cool sci-fi shows was a nice inexpensive way to be able to get a hands on some of those discs. So what I did is I just posted a message on a couple of the sci-fi discussion forums to see what the different fan communities were like a little bit, kind of trying things out. Farscape and Babylon 5 and a couple other shows were ones I was looking at it. So I had sent another good friend of mine also an email, because I know he's a huge sci-fi fan, to see what he might have thought as well. I was kind of battering information out there to see who might have some thoughts to share with me. And in the meantime, I got disc number 1 for both Farscape and Babylon 5. So I did watch them both. I enjoyed them. At that point, I'd say I thought I was going to like Farscape better, but I found out that there were only 2 episodes on each DVD. So doing a Netflix thing, I realized it was going to take me a while to get through them all. Now, in the meantime, my friend sent me back an excellent recap of the different series that I had mentioned. That's his style to get a lot of detail, and what, he thought they were like. And the cool part was he mentioned that he owned all of the DVDs for both of those series, and that I could borrow any of them anytime I wanted to. Now that was a real nice twist of fate. So I arranged to meet him for lunch. We actually live pretty far apart here up in the Northeast in the USA. And obviously I offered to buy lunch, and he was generous enough actually to give me all 4 seasons of the show on DVD along with the TV movie as well. So I got to tell you, I had a huge smile on my face that day driving home from lunch. So I really do need to give a good shout out to my good friend Dan, because he's such a key factor in my being able to get so deep into the show so quickly, as well as the fandom, and which obviously led to the podcast.
Kevan, have you watched any of the extras on the DVDs that you're seeing?
The ones I have don't have a lot of extras. I'm learning a little bit now, too, about the new Starburst editions and such. The ones I have just had the very early discs in Season 1. Had some very short, kind of like character intros, but that's been about it for extras that I've seen.
Well, even on that, I think it's even the disc with the premiere, there's a thing about Dargo, and to me when I saw that, because even though I was watching the shows on TV about when they started, I still was renting the DVDs because I knew I was watching them out of order and I missed some. And I was so shocked to see the actor who plays Dargo. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's what was really cool with all the different characters too. Dargos, obviously, but even any other folks, to see them out of makeup and not in character, I get a kick out of that. At least I do when I'm watching shows that have a lot of makeup and so forth. So I usually love all those behind-the-scenes stuff.
My husband just bought me I think it's called Sex, Drugs, Muppets, and Farscape, something like that. I think some people know the name of that book, and I haven't looked at it yet because he's going to give it to me as a present next week.
Good plan. Make sure to get a present you're going to like. I like that plan. Yeah, speaking of the books, as I mentioned too, I've been reading the companions that they did for each of the seasons. I was able to find them nowadays, since they've been out for several years, very inexpensively on Amazon or one of the other sites. So I've been digging into those for the little recaps of each episode and a little behind-the-scenes kind of stuff that I really enjoy. So I got to be careful and go through those in order now. But I'm finding it helps out, give a little more background on even some of the production things on the different episodes. It's the cool kind of stuff I really enjoy.
There's a lot of interesting things, and that's actually what got me to Farscape in the beginning, because I saw on TV Guide that there was going to be this new sci-fi show on, which I'm always interested in anyway, and it had Muppets and a blue girl. Well, that's all I needed to see, because I love the Muppets, and I realized that Muppets aren't always happy, smiley things, and they're actually a lot more fun when they're not. Rigel, to me, being the perfect example of the most un-Muppet-like character I've ever met. So I did watch the show from the beginning, but not really in order, because back then I didn't have a good recording device, so I would catch it as best I could on Friday nights, and then the repeats or the marathons as they had them. And I would say that my favorite episodes are IET and The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. The reason I like IET, I think it struck me first of all, is because it was the first episode I ever saw of Farscape, and also because to me it showed how much John realized what had happened to him by helping this other woman go through the same thing, and having that empathy and seeing it both ways, and how having to explain it to her, and by that effect explaining it to himself, was very cool. Plus he told Dargo that using that mineral finding device was like programming a VCR. That just kills me. And the remark about Yoda, when he tells Aaron that the planet they landed on reminded him of Dagobah, a place where Yoda lived and trained warriors. And Aaron looked at him and nodded and accepted it. My other favorite episode, being Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, occurs later on in the series, and there's so much drama and so much that happens, and so many characters have to make hard choices, and it's just done so well. Every time I see it, it just kind of like throws me back into my recliner because of what happens.
Yeah, I'm hearing similar stories both from crew members here and other folks on the forum. I appreciate the restraint people are showing when I post about how good something was, and they keep saying, that's nice, just keep going, keep going. They don't want to spoil me, but they realize that I'm not even close to where it's going to go yet.
Keep going.
Oh, God, I hit. Canaveral, this is Farscape 1. I'm okay. Repeat, I'm okay. Hey, did you guys get video through all that? Canaveral. DK? Dad? Where are you guys? Where's Earth? What the? Canaveral?
Up next is this week's article. Appropriately enough, it's entitled An Introduction to Farscape.
Yes, and it was written by our very own Nicola Wood. I think you're all really going to like this one.
Boy, was Spielberg ever wrong. Close Encounters my ass.
Farscape is a show about a band of misfit renegades stuck in a lifeboat. A living lifeboat bobbing around lost in the uncharted territories. Not sure where they are, not sure where they're going, and only sure of one thing, that they want to stay out of the clutches of the pursuing peacekeepers. The only goal that these escaping prisoners share is to survive without getting recaptured. Okay, the lifeboat thing, it's really a metaphor. Actually, they're on a spaceship, but you get the idea. So who are these escaping prisoners anyway? The first is a living sentient ship, Moya, who is captured and enslaved by peacekeepers. She doesn't talk, but she communicates very effectively through her symbiotic partner, Pilot.
We're someplace else. I'll get back to you on the specifics.
A slightly neurotic giant purple lobster. Yes, I know. Work with me here. Zan, the beautiful bald blue priest.
Because on my homeworld, even among my kind, I was something of an anarchist. Actually, I was the leading anarchist.
Deposed despot Rigel, a toad in a flying chair.
I'm Rigel the 16th, dominar to over 600 billion people. I don't need to talk to you.
Not as cuddly as he looks. Serious badass warrior Cod Dargo and his big badass sword.
I don't know who you are, where you're from, or what you want. But if you threaten my freedom, I'll kill you.
Walking testosterone with a honking big mustache. Officer Aaron Sun, Special Peacekeeper Commando Icarian Company Plizar Regiment.
It's my duty, my breeding. Since birth, it's what I am.
A proud but expelled member of the Nazi-like peacekeepers. And our hero, hapless astronaut John Crichton, who doesn't know nothing about anything, and his well-intentioned, wide-eyed naivete gets them into more trouble more often than not.
What is the matter with you people?
The crew on Moya is a highly dysfunctional, multi-species family, full of characters trying to survive and maybe, someday, get home. Their own home, that is, no one else's. Except for Aaron, who doesn't have one. These misfits could never be mistaken for a militaristic crew that is trained together with similar background and similar goals. They have no clearly defined chain of command. In fact, there is no chain of command, and not one member of this crew shares any common ground with another whatsoever. Such a setup makes for great dramatic potential and fabulous character arcs, as each character learns from and about the others, and sometimes makes terrible and permanent mistakes. There is no reset button in this universe, and problems are rarely solved at the end of the episode, if they are ever solved at all. Moreover, there is another significant characteristic of Farscape the watcher should know. Humans are not the pinnacle of sentient evolution. In fact, they are considered very ordinary. Pilot even has one rather snarky conversation with John along those lines.
You have no special abilities. You're not particularly smart, can hardly smell, can barely see, and you're not even vaguely physically or spiritually imposing. Is there anything you do well?
And the conversation deteriorates from there. There is one scene in the first episode that shows, in a nutshell, what makes Farscape so appealing to me. John Crichton is standing in the middle of a busy thoroughfare, looking out at his first alien city, the only human on this side of the universe, our point of view character, the representative of the best our world could offer, and he looked like a dork.
I'm on another planet.
He was awestruck, and through him, so was the audience. John Crichton, the first ambassador of our species on an alien planet, and no one even cared he was there. Farscape isn't always a pleasant place. Zan said it best.
There is much cruelty in the universe.
But Farscape never lost the wonder, never lost the splendor, the bewilderment, the curiosity, fear, and reverence that simple existence commands. This show turns traditional sci-fi storytelling on its head. Characters are not on a mission, and their interpersonal relationships are not defined by that mission. The characters get to be individuals with individual motivations, urges, and needs. As Dargo says,
"It is anarchy, and today it is my day to rule."
If you are looking to be surprised, challenged, thoroughly mentally and emotionally engaged, yet still get laughs and giggles in addition to a well-done romance that heats up the room, then there isn't a better choice out there. By the way, Farscape moves fast, real fast. You have to pay attention, not just to what the characters say, but what they do, and who or what the camera is focused on when they say or do it. Farscape is not a show for wimps. No, sir. Television is a visual medium, and Farscape uses that concept to the fullest. The actors, writers, directors, camera people, set designers all work together to show you the story. They don't tell you. As they say, this ain't your daddy's sci-fi. Farscape is a hell of a ride for those who are able to take it. Are you ready to hop on board?
Shipwide announcement for our new guests. Prepare for starburst, people.
For the ScapeCast, I'm Nicola Wood.
New to Farscape? Interested in checking out some episodes on DVD? Then the Watch Farscape Library project might just be for you. Thanks to the generous support of ADV Films and fans everywhere, there are now Farscape DVDs in well over 200 libraries across the US and Canada. The library project was designed with newbies in mind, so don't be shy. Request Farscape from your local branch or even over the internet today. For more information or ideas on how you can help support this worthy project, please visit watchfarscape.com or farscapecanada.com. Support your local library and Farscape.
Hey, wait, I got a couple of questions. A couple of 1,000 more questions.
Question of the week.
Since this is our first show, we asked our first question of the week actually on our forums. And we also posted it on some of the other busy Farscape discussion forums. Going forward from now on, we'll be asking that new question of the week near the end of each podcast. And then we'll also post it in our own forum.
We thought it would be appropriate to kick off our Question of the Week segment by asking, how did you get scaped?
So here are some of your replies.
I'm Sherry, a neonatal intensive care unit nurse from Kansas City, USA. I was shot into the uncharted territories December 2003 after buying the DVDs for my husband for Christmas. I watched Taking the Stone and The Way We Weren't, and I was like, damn, this is good. I watched 4 seasons in 2 months. I am forever irreversibly contaminated, and I don't want to go back to Earp. I was stunned not only by the ginormous quality of each department, but by the level of devotion the cast and crew had for this production, often sacrificing personally for the good of the ship.
Wow, that sounds a little bit like my accelerated viewing plan there.
That's the one where you just have to sit down for a week and watch them all because you can't stand to wait for the next episode, right?
Yep. Yeah, I had a cold about a week ago and was home, and I think I watched 7 episodes that day, so I know exactly where she's coming from.
The thing about The Way We Weren't is that it's the second time that someone tells Erin that she could be more. And this is something that I would like to discuss in possibly future ScapeCasts.
Cool, kind of like a teaser for future stuff.
Rob tells us, I was talking with a guy at work about the science fiction we had read, and he said I should watch some show called Farscape. I didn't have a TV, and I still don't, but my friend kept after me. So I downloaded some clips and music videos off the net, and wow, that led me to reading fanfiction, and that led me to the DVDs for the PC. And that led me to writing fanfiction, which led me to Terra Firma, which led me to you. Lucky me. It hurt to find out that the character story which I had come to enjoy had already ended. But then there was a new awakening. There are only 3,000 to 4,000 Farscape fanfiction stories out there, and many are awesome, and they're being written faster than I can read. I am set for life. Rob.
Yeah, that story really shows the different paths that people can take when it comes to finding the show. It's not just the traditional saw it on TV or bought the DVDs way.
And he really dug deep going into the internet. There is a lot of fan fiction out there that is really great.
Jen writes, I was scaped by my friend Sarah. She had been watching Farscape for a couple of months and was trying to convert me. The first episode I saw was the ending of Through the Looking Glass. Now imagine a non-sci-fi person walking in on a show she knows nothing about and sees a man tenderly touching the head of a giant, weird-looking alien puppet and saying, "We should have been more upfront about our feelings." I fell on the floor and nearly died laughing. I thought they were going to start making out. I didn't take it very seriously after that and spent the next year teasing Sarah about watching it. She didn't give up on me, though, and I'm glad she didn't, because when I finally did get around to watching it, I was blown away. By the end of Season 1, I was well and truly hooked and begging Sarah for her tapes to Season 2. The rest is history, and Farscape is now my all-time favorite show, and now I've scaped a few people of my own.
Well, that one just really goes to show you how once you've been a fan, you forget about how some of the other show scenes can look kind of odd if you're not taking them in the straight order that you'd expect to have everybody seeing them.
Hey Kev, you've seen a bunch of aliens now. Which one has really surprised you?
Well, I think the one that made the biggest impression on me was Namtar from the DNA Mad Scientist episode in Season 1. That one just really kind of caught me. I don't know, I wouldn't say off guard, but certainly that one made the impression that stuck in my head.
I first got scaped on the SpaceCast forums. I was new there, and I kept on seeing all of these Farscape threads and was wondering what it was all about. This was after the show was cancelled. I posed my meek newbie question, what's Farscape? And was treated to a barrage of replies, all very enthusiastic. I decided I wanted to check it out, but alas, my local video store did not carry it, and I was hesitant to go and spend $150 on a series that I was not sure I was going to like. One friendly poster offered to send me his copy of Season 1 from England. I'm in Canada, and I was blown away. Surely this show must be something special for its fans to be so giving with their things in order to share the love. When the package arrived, I eagerly slipped the disc into my computer's DVD drive and sat back to watch. That night, I watched 5 episodes. I watched 6 more the next day. I watched the whole season in about 4 days. I was completely hooked. I've not finished the series. I'm about 4 episodes into Season 4. Obtaining the episodes has been a little difficult, but I am trying, and have bought PK Wars. I will not watch it until I am finished Season 4, and it is killing me having it so close. I've also got my very cool Harvey hoodie obtained from the kind people at Farscape Canada, and am trying to share the scaper love with others. I was scaped and scaped hard. Ladyhawk, BC Canada, SpaceCast forums.
Yeah, this is a great example of how some scapers will really go well above the call of duty to try to get new people into the scaper community.
The thing that I really found very cool is so many different countries who are coming in to contribute, and the show is finding its way there, and people are relating to it even no matter what language it is. It's the language of Farscape.
Yeah, that's just showing you a real benefit, as they say, the power of the internet too, to be able to connect with all these fans just like they're next door.
The universe gets smaller.
Philby posts, "It was pure luck, which turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Thank you, BBC. I had come home early from a bad day at work, and I was flicking through the channels, and I eventually found this program based in space, on some sort of living ship, with a normal bloke, and a ship full of aliens, and an ugly greenish-grey puppet, who sort of sounded like my granddad. It had guns, explosions, great effects, a believable storyline, and an array of witty classic one-liners from that normal bloke, and he turned out to be the main character. And who was that black-haired woman who was hard as nails, like Ripley from Aliens? And she looked human, but she sort of wasn't. That was it. I was hooked. I told some of my mates the next day, some who still to this day say it's the best show they ever got caught up in, and luckily I never missed an episode from then on until it finished at the end of Season 4, although I had to see PK Wars on DVD. The episode turned out to be PK Girl, and I'd like to say that along with the Princess Trilogy, it stands out as my favorite ep. Here's hoping Mr. Henson does a Chris Carter and takes it to the big screen."
Hey, wasn't I just saying something about the big international fan base?
Yes, you were, and I will say that PK Tech Girl was really that attention-grabbing episode. I understand that it was actually shown as a sneak preview on the USA Network before Farscape was even broadcast.
Well, I guess they were comfortable doing some things a little bit out of order there just to try to get folks interested, much like some of the Scapers have mentioned in terms of picking up the show at different points in syndication.
Aaron did look great in that episode, I will say that.
No disagreements from this side.
Yeah.
Officer Soon 524 on the ScapeCast board writes, "Blame it on my weakness for my sister's oatmeal cookies. I was an X-Files fan, but didn't like TV sci-fi all that much. I'd always associated it with Star Trek, not one of my favorites. My youngest sister had stumbled across this show made by Henson with a cute guy in the lead, and had been taping it during Sci-Fi's Chain Reactions. Remember those? Anyway, she'd bug me to watch the show. My reaction was, meh. I don't like sci-fi. Nah, I don't have time to watch a show. I don't get the Sci-Fi channel. That was a biggie. But she hit me with two great forms of logic. I was writing a soap opera at the time, and she told me the two guys, turned out to be John and Larac, would be perfect for the soap. And all I had to do was watch this one episode, and she'd make me some oatmeal cookies while I watched. Well, who can say no to that on a boring Saturday afternoon? And thusly, I sat down to watch A Bug's Life with a plate of cookies in front of me. Okay, there's the cute guy, woo! Aliens look kinda neat, and they're all bitching at each other, which is not Star Trek. And then the great panning shot from the point of view of the commandos, the camera pans up, and Aaron swings up the big Frelling gun, looking both tough and a little nervous, and I thought, who the hell is this woman? 'Cause she's the coolest looking chick I've ever seen. I almost screamed when Aaron gets stabbed in the end, and I swore I wouldn't watch another episode if she died. I think I went on to watch the rest of that tape, which was about 5 episodes, then begged for more. And that is how the addiction began.
Yeah, I was a really big X-Files fan also. That was actually the first show that I ever bought on DVD.
Using food to convince people to watch anything or do anything has always been a good motivation for me.
Yeah, I sense maybe a new segment we're going to have there, the best food or drinks to serve when you're trying to escape people.
Did somebody say pizza and margarita shots?
Farscaper 2000 posts, "I was hooked on Farscape from Premiere, the very first episode. It was first shown on Australian television during the Christmas holiday period in 2000. I'd seen it advertised and I thought that it looked interesting. One look and I was hooked. And from that moment on, watching the show became a trial beyond belief due to the dreadful programming that the show received here. I eventually managed to see it by buying the DVDs from England and asking a British friend to tape the show for me. At that time, I hadn't yet discovered the great Australian Scaper community. I had only discovered them once the show was cancelled. Farscape is simply the best."
Well, that goes to show you that once you decide you're going to watch a show, you will find a ways to do it, even if you have to draw in some help from another country.
Farscape does inspire that kind of dedication because you really want to know what's going to happen next.
This is from Aaron. I happened to catch the airing of the Peacekeeper Wars. I think it was the second time it aired, spring of 2005, as I know I did not watch it when it aired originally, which was mid-October of 2004. I got sucked into it and went out to purchase the DVD of the miniseries, and from there purchased the entire series. It's kind of strange seeing the end of a series and working backwards, but then again, I'm the kind of person who does like to read the end of a book before I will read it. Strange, huh? Although I'm also someone who does not like to have their future told to them by a palm reader or some kind of psychic. Sorry, I got off track. I'm currently in the midst of Season 4 and am savoring each and every episode. I feel fortunate that I was able to buy the whole series so I can watch any episode whenever I want. I will start over again as soon as I finish Season 4 because there are things I know I have probably missed along the way.
This message really makes me wonder how many other folks might have worked their way through the show starting at the end or towards the later parts of the run. I mean, I'm very curious about that since I'm someone who tends to go beginning to end on stuff.
But it also goes back to, if you want to relate it to Firefly and Serenity, I think people came to Firefly after Serenity was on the big screen. And there were huge things that happened in Serenity that you just didn't want to know about. But we know now, and we're watching Firefly anyway because it's so cool.
Yeah, I can only agree with that. Those of you who know I'm involved in the Firefly stuff totally agree with what you just put out there, Lindy.
Well, happy to help.
Ordy Willie posted to the forum, I was sent to the Middle East last year. There wasn't much to do, but the morale department had free DVD rentals, and so I checked out Season 3, which was the only one they had. The first episode was Season of Death, and from there, I was hooked. I got on eBay, I ordered the entire series, and by the time I had rotated home, I watched it all 3 times.
Yeah, that is a great story to hear, and it's an example of the impact of something I've heard about but don't know much myself called the Military Project.
Well, I do know a little bit about it because it was started at SaveFarscape.com, which includes the Frell Me Dead forum. They started working with McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey back in 2003. The project was mostly started by Twitch, who's a longtime member of what I call the Frell Me Dead posse. And so far, copies of Farscape have been donated by Scapers and also ADV, who helps with the production of the DVDs. And they've been sent to many foreign bases around the world. Our troops are meeting John and Aaron and the rest of the Moya crew during their free time. And a lot of soldiers also are getting internet access, and they're able to post at the Frell Me Dead forums, and they've been thanking members for their donation and participating in all the discussions. If you're interested in helping with this ongoing project, you can check out the Frell Me Dead forum at www.watchfarscape.com.
Gail 2 from Anaheim writes, I recall looking through the TV guide and seeing a small picture with a summary of a new science fiction show. Normally, I wait until the season to be half over before watching a new show, as I'm always frustrated when a show I've begun to love is cancelled after a few weeks. This time, however, I took a leap of faith and started watching Farscape from the first episode. Wow! Strong women roles, a reasonable way of explaining why everyone can understand each other, fantastic aliens, strong backstories, and more. Several of the conventional storylines usually found in science fiction shows are shaken and turned upside down. This was a show to watch, and I did faithfully for 4 years and a TV movie.
Well, I certainly understand that concern about becoming invested in a show only to see a network cancel it. Wink, wink, AA. We've all seen that happen in many shows, so I can certainly understand. But obviously, in this case, it's well worth the emotional commitment to be able to enjoy it as much as we all do.
TV Guide's always been a big supporter of Farscape. TV Guide did a photo shoot showing the women of Sci-Fi featuring Aaron, Zan, and Chiana. And this was only like after Season 1 or right at the beginning of Season 2. And they've always been there promoting it. They've been great supporters of Farscape.
Question of the week.
Thanks to everyone for all the great responses that we got to our initial question of the week. Obviously, we couldn't play them all on the show, but it was great to see them and read through them. So now it's time to ask our next question. So this time what we'd like to do is have you tell us what you've done, or are doing, to share your love of Farscape with others. To put it another way, how have you scaped new people to the show? Feel free to get that to us whatever way you're comfortable. You could email it to us, visit our forums where we'll have a thread where you can post your answer, or you can just pick up the phone and give us a call. That number again is 206-350-MOYA. That's 206-350-6692. Or if you want, feel free to go ahead and record the answer right there on your own computer and send us the MP3 or WAV file as well. Love to hear from you any way you want to get it to us.
By the way, Kevan, I scaped some friends this weekend. When they heard I was working on the ScapeCast, they had to take me seriously. But we'll discuss that in the next ScapeCast and our next question of the week.
They're a brutal race, uncivilized, indiscriminate in their deployment of violence.
Right. Unlike your people.
My people might have helped you if you hadn't have put us into this position.
Me? I don't know. Try your boy Crace.
So you haven't forgotten about him. I know he hasn't forgotten about you.
Yeah, well, the transparent purple guy, what's his name? Pilot? He said we've passed into the uncharted territories and that your people don't have jurisdiction.
Crace thinks you killed his brother. In such a case, would you obey jurisdictional boundaries?
And now it's time for the answer to the Farscape trivia question that was asked earlier in the show.
Why are you shaving now?
That's right, the answer to the question was Season 4's first episode, Crichton Kicks. No, the beard in Jeremiah Crichton was not Ben Browder's natural hair. For the ScapeCast, I'm Brent Barrett.
Hey, this is Lindy, and you should know we have an email service so you can be notified automatically anytime we publish a new show or have other important information to share. If you go to our website at ScapeCast.org, on the right side of any of the pages, you'll see a box marked Register for the ScapeCast Updates. This is simply a service to send you an email whenever we add something important to our homepage. Don't worry, you won't get a bunch of emails or any spam. The service will only send at most one email a day after we've updated our homepage.
And if you're someone who's familiar with podcasts and uses some type of software, the podcatching software that it's called, like iTunes or Juice, or one of the many other programs that are out there, you can subscribe to our RSS feed so that your software will automatically download our new shows just as soon as they're available. But don't worry, if you're not familiar with anything I just said, no big deal. There are many ways to listen to our show. And we're actually putting together a special webpage to explain all of the options that are available. So anyone from a podcasting pro right down to the computer newbies, we're going to make it easy for you to be able to enjoy our show.
Remember, a show like this takes the efforts and dedication of many people. You may hear our voices a lot, but there are several other people behind the scenes who make something like this possible. One of the most important parts of the show is you, the Scaper community. It's your show, and we need your feedback, ideas, and comments so we can make this the best show possible. Don't be bashful. We've set up several ways for you to contact us, so please take a moment to share your thoughts with us.
You can email us, nice and simple, at feedback@scapecast.org.
Or you can visit our forums and interact with our entire podcast crew as well as many other listeners of the show. You can find the link to the forums by going to our website at ScapeCast.org. Please note, our site is a .org, not a .com.
And finally, we have a voicemail number, so you can leave us a comment or answer any of our questions of the week, or whatever brilliant things might come to mind. Feel free to share them with us anytime. That phone number is area 206-350-MOYA. And what that works out to be is 206-350-6692. Now, if you have the ability on your own computer to record a comment for us, feel free to go ahead and do so. That's great, too, because then you could just email it to us as an MP3 or a WAV file. Those will sound a little better if you record them yourself rather than using a voicemail service. But either way, we'd love to hear from you.
And don't forget to add yourself to our Frapper map. The link is also on our site. That way, we can all see where our listeners are located.
So, I think we'll wrap up here, and we appreciate everyone's time. And thanks again for joining us as we start our journey. I'm Kevan Batchelder.
And I'm Lindy Ray. Now it's time to disable your comms and find new wonders. Until next time.
This is John Crichton. Somewhere in the universe.
Writers for this episode were
Kevan Batchelder,
Lindy Ray,
Brent Barrett,
Kurt Armbruster,
Nicola Wood.
Additional voice work provided by
Wendy Hembrough
and Kimberly Thompson.
You've been listening to the ScapeCast, Episode 1, produced April 2006. For the entire ScapeCast crew, I'm Brent Barrett. Thank you for listening, and fly safe.